Before you begin to build your percentages-based gradebook, you'll need to think about a few things ahead of time. This includes what categories will need to be included and what individual items will you be grading. How will the categories be weighted? Will items be completed through Katie resources such as the assignment, quiz, or forum module, or will students be completing their work and sharing it with you in some other way? The first thing to do when you're getting ready to set up your gradebook is to take a look at your course requirements and the grading that you have outlined in your syllabus. So for my syllabus for this class, you can see I've got several assignments here. I've got a 5-minute focus writing assignment that's worth 10% of the student's grades. I will be administering this through a forum in Katie. So this is something they'll be turning on through Katie. They'll be doing 2 reading response assignments, and for these, they will be turning those in through Katie. For class assignments, 10%. This, for my online course, I'm going to be turning this into essentially participation. And this is something the students won't be turning anything in. I'll just be providing a grade to them for their participation in the course. So this is something they will not be turning in via Katie. Next, you'll see I have the research project, which is worth 10% with 3 separate sections here. The project proposal will be turned in through Katie. The research journals are something that I'll be administering through Google Docs. The students will be keeping a Google document that they'll share with me, so they won't be turning that in through Katie. And then finally, a presentation, which they'll be sharing with me online and not turning in through Katie. Next, you'll see I've got 4 project sources that are going to be worth 40% of the grade. These are going to be turned in via Katie. And the final project, which is a portfolio, this is something that I do not think I'm going to have the students turn in through Katie. So I've kind of got that set. Okay, I know which things will be turned in through Katie and which things will not. So to go ahead and start setting up my gradebook, from your course page, go to the gear icon and choose Gradebook Setup. From here, if you've already started to add items into your course, you'll see them here. If you haven't, this is going to be blank. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add categories, overarching categories that I have here. So I've got the 5-minute focus. This is just one single item, even though it's graded multiple times. It's only going to be 1 grade because I'm using the forum module to administer that, so that'll be fine. For response assignments, there's going to be 2 of those, so I'm going to go ahead and add a category for response assignments. And for now, I'm not going to worry about entering any percentages. I'm going to wait and do that once I've got everything set up here in my gradebook. So response assignments, save changes. And now you'll see here I've got this category that's response assignments. If I come back here, I've got this class assignments. That's the participation grade. That's just going to be a single grade, and it's not going to be anything they turn in via Katie. So I'm going to add this as a grade item. These are for things that they won't be turning in via Katie, but that you want a entry in the Katie gradebook. And for me, you'll see there are various ways that people grade. You can assign whatever points you want for these. For some people who are used to grading by letter grade, and that's what I'm going to pretend I'm doing for this course. So since I can't enter letter grades in Katie, I have to enter numbers. So I'm going to just leave this out of 100 and translate those. So an A would be 100, a B would be 85, and so on. So I've made my participation. It's worth 100 points. Save changes. Next, I have the research project. So this is a category with things built within. So I'm going to add a category and call it research project. Now I've got the project proposal, and let's go ahead and see. I've already entered my project proposal. I've already created it on my main course page, so it already has an entry here in the gradebook. So I'm going to go ahead and move it into that research project category by clicking this tick box here next to project proposal, and then say move selected items to research project. And now my project proposal is inside this category. So next I've got these 2 research journals that my students, or the 2 times they'll be turning in their research journal during the class. So they'll be sharing those with me via Google Docs. So I'm going to just add a grade item. Since they won't be turning anything in on Katie, I just want a placeholder here. Research Journal 1. Since I'm doing letter grades, grading everything out of 100, I can just leave it as 100. And then for grade category, it's going to go into the research project category. And I'll add my second research journal. And once again, grade category, I'll put it in research project. If you forget to put it in the category as you're creating it, just remember that you can always tick the box here and move it into whatever category you want. So finally, I've got this presentation as part of the research project where they'll be giving a presentation. Once again, that's something that they'll be turning in to me outside of Katie. So I'll add a grade item and call it presentation. Category, research project. So that's the research project category done. Next, I have these 4 project source assignments that they'll be turning in. So that's a category I'm going to create. Project sources. And for this, I've already got one source that I created out on my main page. That was the background source. So I'm going to go ahead and move that into the project sources category. And there it is. Now the other 3 project sources that they'll be turning in, I'm also going to have them turn those in via Katie. So to create those, I'm going to go back to my course page. Here you can see where project sources is. And once I turn editing on, what I'm going to do is, since I've already created one project source and they're all very similar assignments, I'm actually going to click the edit button and then duplicate. There's 1, 2, 3. So the first one is the background source. You can click the pencil. The second one will be a book source. And a scholarly article source. And we have a web source. So you can see I've created all of these. That's an easy way if you have very similar assignments to make it really easy to duplicate because it can get kind of confusing. If you do things like assign due dates or have materials that are specific to the assignment, you'll always want to go and click edit and edit settings to come in here and see, does the file that I added to the first assignment match here? Do I need to change the due date? If I have enabled the due date, do I need to change that here? I often will go through and set up one sort of skeleton. If I have several assignments that are similar, I'll set up one sort of skeleton, do my duplication, and then go in and customize each one. So I've got my 4 web sources here. If I go to the gear icon and go back to Gradebook Setup, here in my project sources are my 4 project sources. Since I had already put this source into this category and then just copied it, they all went into the same category. So project sources category done. Finally, we have this final project, which is a portfolio that they will be turning into me outside of Katie. So I'm going to add that as a grade item. Final project. Maximum grade is 100. You'll notice that as I've done all this, I haven't worried about looking at percentages or anything like that. So you'll see after I've added everything, everything's worth 100 points. And so now I've got everything in here, right? Everything that was on my syllabus. I've now got either an entry for it if it's going to be turned in outside of Katie, or I've got an assignment or a forum or a quiz that I've created in Katie, and that's here. One thing to note, I have something here called the syllabus quiz. This isn't on my syllabus. This is something that I have the students do to reinforce that they've actually read the syllabus, but it's not something that that I'm planning to have them turn in, and not something that counts for a grade in the course. So if you have things like that, like this syllabus quiz, you tick this box and set it to 0. Then scroll to the bottom and save changes. So now you can see the syllabus quiz, it's set to 0. These weights have adjusted. So now this is no longer counting towards the final grade in my class. So now the very last thing I need to do, I just need to move this information cycle reading response. I'll tick over here, move it into the reading responses category. And since I had another reading response for them to turn in, I'm going to go out to my main course page, duplicate this assignment, change the name, go in and edit if I need to, and then come back and look at my gradebook setup. So you'll see within these tick boxes, I can't type in those. I get a big red Ghostbuster sign. That's because this gradebook by default is just looking at the points that you've associated with everything here. Now, what I'm going to do instead is now come in and start to check these boxes and set the appropriate weights. So the 5-minute focus, my 5-minute focus writing assignments, that's worth 10%. So I'm going to come in here, check this box, get rid of this 7, and set it at 10%. The response assignments, those are worth 5% of the grade. So I'll come in here, check this box, set them at 5. These, you'll see, both say 50%. This is 50% of the 5%. I would like these to be equally weighted, so I don't need to check the boxes, but I can if I want to. Participation, that's these class assignments. That's going to be 10%. So I'll come in here, check the box, type in 10%. The research project, which is worth 10% of the final grade. And this is where I can come and look, okay, so I had already said this project proposal is worth 30% of this 10%, or 3% of the course overall. I'm going to go ahead and set each of these. So the project proposal is 30%, the presentation is 50%, and each of these research journal entries are 10%. So you can see I can set the assignment to be worth however many points I want, but I'm coming in here and I can set the weight for each of these. So project sources, my project sources are worth 40% of my grade, and the final project is worth 25%. Let's take a look. Yes, 25, 40. So once I've ticked those boxes and made all of those changes, I'll click Save Changes, cross my fingers that I've done my math correctly, and it looks like I have. So now I can come in and see my 5-minute focus is worth 10%. My response assignments, they're worth 5% of the grade, and here are the 2 of them. I can go through and see everything that's left here in my grade book. The view option is where once you have students enrolled, you'll be able to see their grades as you enter them. And the user report, when students click on their grades in Katie, they will be taken to what's called the user report. So it's really helpful to come here and take a look and see what's going on in user report. And you can, here in this drop-down menu, once you have students enrolled, you can click on this and select a specific student and see the report exactly as they are seeing it in their Katie view.